Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Jeffrey sent me a note to remind me that the Institute for Justice had just sent out a newsletter, which I got as well, regarding their taking on of the Chicago impound racket. Chicago's impound racket. IJ says that last week we received a disappointing ruling in our case challenging Chicago's unconstitutional vehicle impound program. But the early loss sets us up to appeal to a higher court where we would be better positioned to achieve real and lasting legal change. So here's the thing you have to remember. Whenever somebody goes to the U.S. Supreme Court and they make good law, well, to get to a higher court, generally you've got to lose. And so I know a lot of people who are like, I'm prepared to fight this all the way to the Supreme Court. And they go to trial and they win. Well, it's good that you won, but now your case is done. And you winning at the trial court level is not going to help anybody but you for the most part because you didn't create a precedent at an appellate court. So here's the situation. The Institute for Justice has got clients who had their car impounded after an auto shop employee with a revoked license took their car for a joyride. So they took their car into a shop to have it worked on, and an employee without a license took it for a joyride. So they were innocent of any wrongdoing, but that's not a defense under Chicago's ordinances. A court told them they had to pay thousands of dollars to get their car back, but by the time they raised the money, the city had already scrapped it. Chicago impounds tens of thousands of vehicles each year, generating millions in revenue by holding cars for ransom, regardless of whether the owner did anything wrong. And so you would think, I've talked about due process before, you need to have the right to know what the charges are and a right to put up a meaningful defense. So your car somehow winds up being impounded in Chicago. You should be able to go, it's been impounded because apparently the shop I took it to for work let an unlicensed driver take it for a joyride and somehow it wound up in your system. But that shouldn't be on me. That should be on the repair shop, if anybody. And they said, nope, that's too bad. So the Institute for Justice stepped in here and agreed to challenge the predatory scheme together with the couple whose car it was. And they filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of everyone who's had this happen to them. And they say this isn't about just one car. It's about stopping Chicago's unconstitutional impound racket. And if you say, Steve, if it's unconstitutional, I mean, every city out there does that on some level. They find a vehicle illegally parked, they impound it. Someone gets arrested drunk driving, they impound the car. Yeah, and there should be a way for the true owner to get the car back, especially if they weren't involved in why it got impounded. So the case perfectly captures the principle that innocent people should not be held liable for the illegal actions of others. But for years, courts have systematically eroded that principle by ruling time and time again that the very opposite is true. And they did so again here. After years of litigation, last week, a trial court upheld Chicago's impound program. And the IJ says, despite the fact we lost that case, we're still fighting. We're exactly where we always planned to be, okay? Like much of their work, the case was never about the trial court. Their sights are on the federal appellate court from day one. The Seventh Circuit has previously held that cities can impose fines on vehicle owners for the actions of others if their vehicles were used for illegal purposes, even if the owners were unaware of the illegal activity. But that can't be. And I've heard of other cases out of other states where this has happened. Somebody goes, hey, can I borrow your car? And they go out and they break the law with it. Well, you got to be careful who you lend your car to. But here, what are they supposed to do? They took their car to a shop to have work done on it. And an unlicensed driver takes it for a joyride? Like they're supposed to foresee that somehow? So the IJ took up this case to overturn that bad precedent and establish that individuals cannot be punished for the crimes of others. And keep in mind that of the, what do they say, tens of thousands of cars each year? Of the tens of thousands of cars each year that are impounded, the number where the owner is innocent is probably a small fraction of that. Cars illegally parked, impounded. Drunk driver, impounded. Car was borrowed from somebody who had no idea what I was doing with it. Okay. So History has shown time and again that early losses paved the way for transformative victories. Another example is Ash Patel in 2011. Ash and the IJ suffered a first-round loss in their challenge to Texas's irrational licensing law for eyebrow threaders. Ash knew this was bigger than eyebrow threading, and that his case had the potential to change the shape of the law nationwide. Because they never gave up, they litigated the case all the way to the Texas Supreme Court. There, IJ and Ash persuaded the court to break with federal precedent and establish that judges should give meaningful review to economic restrictions rather than blindly deferring to regulators. Now, 3 other states have followed suit, and IJ's poised to double that number in the next few years. That's not the only instance where tenacity and persistence led to greater victory. The same happened in the fight for tour guides from D.C., whose case was the first in a revolutionary campaign to protect people who speak for a living. And the same for Ohio homeowners, who helped establish at the state Supreme Court there that eminent domain cannot be used to take property from one person and transfer it to another because of so-called economic development. So in Chicago, the Institute for Justice is now positioned to take the fight to the appellate courts, where they hope they'll have the opportunity to dismantle bad precedent and establish lasting protections for all Americans. So this is how real reform happens. Challenge an unjust law, fight through early losses, win at higher courts, and then we use that to fuel even bigger change. And so they close the email by saying, thank you for standing with the Institute for Justice as we take this fight to the next level. So that's about the impound racket in Chicago. And again, some people are going to say, but it's your car, it's your responsibility. And one thing I like about the Institute for Justice is they will look at a situation, and let's suppose someone came to them 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and said, hey, look at the situation in Chicago. In Chicago, your car gets impounded for whatever reason, and to get it back, you got to pay some money and storage and towing and all this other stuff. And if you don't, they just either take it out and crush it or auction or whatever they do with them to dispose of them. But they just get rid of it. And it seems unfair and unjust. Now, to find somebody who's among tens of thousands of people in Chicago wouldn't be that hard to do. But you want to find a sympathetic plaintiff. You want somebody where they're going to be in court, people are going to go, yeah, I agree with them. So if they simply found somebody who was arrested for drunk driving and their car got impounded, or the car was illegally parked in a handicapped towaway zone, it's also in a fire lane, you go, okay, but here, these people brought their car to a shop to have it worked on. While there, an unlicensed driver took it for a joyride. Number one, they didn't authorize a joyride, otherwise it wouldn't be called a joyride. Number two, who'd have thought an unlicensed driver would be taking it anywhere? And there are situations where if you toss the keys to a 16-year-old kid and go, be careful, and the kid's not careful, people are going to go, of course the kid wasn't careful, the kid's 16. But, and by the way, I'm not making fun of 16-year-olds, although there are none in my audience, 0. I'm simply pointing out that if a teenage driver did what you expect a teenage driver to do, you can blame the person who tossed him the keys and said, be careful, okay? Here, they brought the car to a repair facility. Presumably, they're going to work on the car and maybe take it for a test drive, but that's different than a joyride. See, test drives are okay and approved and authorized. Joyrides are not. And in fact, if you read the document they signed when they dropped the car off, it probably says, you authorize us to drive your car to test it. It's probably in there somewhere. It doesn't say, and our unlicensed driver is going to take your car on an adventure much like the Ferrari in Ferris Bueller's Day Off because we're in Chicago. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. So the Institute for Justice is coming out and saying, look, we lost this one. We lost this one. Now, if they'd won this case, it was a class action. It could have gotten help for a lot of people. But they didn't win this one. But they're simply pointing out that, okay, that's fine. Because as we move up the ladder, we now get the opportunity to file appeals. And if we win on appeal, that does create good case law. And so it's always nice to win your case for your one client. or here your clients are a couple. But it's even better to take it up a notch and win for a whole bunch of people going forward who can say, oh, there's good case law on this that was just created. And one thing I like to point out about the Institute for Justice is they take on a lot of constitutional issues, and here would be a due process and a takings issue. And you go, okay, they do a lot of that kind of stuff. But they also do a lot of the stuff where they're trying to create good case law that will help as many people as possible. And so I've known a lot of people who've contacted me over the years and said, hey, I've got this constitutional law issue, and that's great. And if you go to court and win that, that's really, really good because it will help you. If you lose and go up on appeal and win, that'll help a whole bunch of people. And so the Institute for Justice is admitting, hey, we don't win them all. But it's actually part of our plan that if we lose, that's the first stepping stone up the ladder, to mix metaphors. And I knew I did that, so thank you very much. But yeah, so Jeffrey, thanks for sending this. I'd actually gotten this as well. And I'm going to tell you, like I always do, the Institute for Justice is a nonprofit organization that handles constitutional law issues nationwide in an attempt to fix some of these things and help as many people as possible. But as a nonprofit, they operate entirely, solely off of the generosity of their supporters. So if you can financially support them, please do so. And if you can't, just go check out their YouTube channel and watch their videos and see what they do. And also you can go to their website. And as always, I'll put the link to the website in the description below the video. It's ij.org, ij.org. And bookmark it, sign up for the newsletter. It's amazing the stuff that they encounter. It's amazing the stuff that they fix. So they're taking on Chicago's impound racket. Jeffrey, thanks for sending that. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. The first step is you have to say that you can.